Alright, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast. BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. Well, it's another edition of Occult Mondays here on BBOR. It's also October 29th. We're gearing up for the Halloween holiday. One of the best holidays of the year, so says me anyway. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Halloween, and let's talk about something that is more on the line of demonic and interdimensional beings. I guess this is kind of, something that I would say that I've heard from other people. On the last edition of Occult Mondays, I talked about 3 ghost stories that people had actually told me, and like they're real ghost stories that they claimed, their encounters with, kind of paranormal entities. And we had a little bit of a discussion, because once again, I'm an enormous skeptic on this stuff, but we're kind of approaching it with an open mind. So first, let's look at a case involving not a ghost this time, but some demonic activity. And what do you think about this one? This actually starts with me, and this is the first time I think I've ever given any sort of kind of personal story on Occult Mondays. Well, one day back in college, this was about 10 years ago, I was asleep in bed, and I just woke up in the middle of the night. I felt this very, very sharp pain in my arm. Like in a dream, sometimes you can feel things and you wake up, or sometimes you can actually hear a sound in the dream, and it's not, just kind of like dreamlike. When you wake up, you really remember that what you saw, what you heard, what you felt was very real. You have a dream that's so real that it feels like real life. Well, I felt this horribly sharp pain in my left arm. It felt like a needle or something had been stabbed into me or something, and I woke up, like I could still feel the pain in my arm, and it felt like there was something moving around in the sheets in my bed. It's like it really felt like there was something there, like rustling the sheets, that was not me. And about a week later, I ended up in the hospital. One of my kind of, worst moments in life, and, I was very sick and just ended up in the hospital. I didn't really tell anyone about the dream thing because I didn't think much of it. I just, I wasn't sure what happened. I really just didn't know what that was. About a month later, somebody explained to me that she had been attacked by a demon. This was I guess you'd say a friend, yeah. Okay, a friend in college said that she had been attacked by a demon. And I was like, what do you mean you've been attacked by a demon? And she was like, I felt a sharp pain in my body. And then I just, woke up, and that's the feeling you get when you are attacked by a demon and they're trying to put evil into you. And, I forget the exact words, but that's what she was describing. But the thing is, we had that very similar experience where you're asleep, you feel that very sharp pain, and then you just wake up and you're like, holy crap, I can still feel it, and there's something moving around in the sheets that wasn't me, and she had the exact same experience. And a week after I got, the week after I felt that sharp pain, I ended up in the hospital. She did not, though. She did not. But, what was that? I mean, I never told her once. Until, that day, I never told her beforehand that I felt the exact same thing that she did. What was that? Was that an actual case of a demonic attack? I mean, we both had a very similar experience over about, the span of 3 to 4 weeks, and I ended up in the hospital, like roughly maybe a week after that incident. Was that an actual case of a demon? Well, the sort of skeptic things I've thought about is, maybe, I was bitten by a mouse or something. Maybe I was bitten by a spider, and that's why, or even a snake once. I said a snake once. What I should say is, I mentioned in the beginning, I'm from West Virginia. So one time I was getting into bed at night, and I pulled back the covers, and there was just a snake in my bed, and the snake, just slithered away and disappeared into a crack in the wall, and I was like, holy crap. And I took a step back, and I stepped on my computer cable, and that scared the piss out of me, because I thought that was another snake. But the point is, things like that can get into your bed, especially something like spiders. We've all heard that. Well, what do you think that was? I mean, was that an actual demon that had attacked both of us? Or is that just a coincidence that both my friend and I, over a span of 3 weeks, had almost the very same thing where you're asleep and you feel this sharp pain in your body? I mean, I remember this very clearly. It was in my left arm, and it felt like, like a bite or a needle prick, and it woke me up, and I felt something moving around in the sheets. It wasn't me. I mean, was that a demon, or was it like maybe even a mouse or something, or once again, spider or a snake, or just... But even if that is the case, and I did just get bit by a spider at night and it woke me up, what's going on with, my friend experiencing almost the same thing 3 weeks later? And, of course, I mean, I start to get kind of... Even someone like me who's kind of a natural skeptic with all this, I even get a little... I would say freaked out a bit, because I did end up in the hospital a week after that happened, for... They definitely didn't attribute it to anything such as an animal bite. I mean, I got sick, but that wasn't because of, I was bit by a poisonous animal or anything. There were also no physical markings on my body, I should say that. I mean, I looked because I could feel the bite, but there were no physical marks of any kind. Well, what was that? I mean, was it just some sort of other thing that people experience? This was around November. I guess maybe the first or second week of November. So was that just what it was? I mean, maybe there's something about, temperature, and we both lived, in the same apartment complex. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just pulling at straws when I say something like that the temperature in the house might have caused a particular reaction. But what do you think? Was that a real demon, or do you have a better explanation about how both my friend and I would have felt those kind of, very sharp pains that wake you up, and then, you feel something moving in the sheets that isn't there? I mean, I looked, there's nothing there, and a week later I got sick and ended up in the hospital, one of the biggest illnesses of my life. What was that? Okay. The second one I'd like to tell you is a little bit away from demonic. This is actually something that is more kind of interdimensional. Back in college still, the same place, the same college, I knew somebody who found, kind of a bizarre place in the forest near our campus. And he was someone who was, kind of somewhat into paranormal stuff and aliens. And he claimed that he could manipulate ley lines. And, someone asked me, do you know what a ley line is? And I was like, no, I don't. And they gave me a very long explanation, but I wasn't able to even really comprehend that. But what this guy was saying was that he was able to kind of manipulate the fabric of our reality, or at the very least, he's not the one who's doing it. He has seen this happen, where the ley line opens up and an interdimensional being came out of the forest, and he knew it was an interdimensional being because it had a very, very distorted face. And this is something that he says he saw, that this is something that was walking toward him, that he saw this kind of come out of, what I guess like an interdimensional portal, and he saw this thing walking toward him with a very, very distorted, bizarre-looking face walking toward him. If I recall, he said the face was just very, very long and very, very narrow. Well, what is that? Now, I said very clearly in the last upload, I'm a skeptic, right? But when you hear something like that, one of the largest questions that I've always had is, what are people actually seeing? Because that doesn't sound like, some things that go bump in the night. That isn't just like you felt a sharp pain and you woke up once and what was the cause of that? I mean, this guy says that he very definitively saw this thing. It had a long face that was very narrow, and he saw it come out of a portal. Well, where's that coming from? I mean, how do people get to that? I talked about this in the ghost story thing when I said, someone gets picked up, lifted off the ground, their feet aren't touching the ground, and they get slammed into a wall. I mean, if we just take off if we take it off the table the possibility that they're just completely lying and fabricating it, and we're giving them some, kind of truthful credit. What are people experiencing? Like, what is that? I mean, other people talked about how things were very creepy in that forest near our campus. Other people talked about how, that place wasn't safe. You didn't really know what was there. But what on earth could that be, if he actually says that he saw a portal open and this interdimensional being came out that had no humanly features, but was able to walk upright on two legs, something bipedal. What was that? I mean, was it, just his mind playing tricks on him? I really become very doubtful, because, the skepticism goes both ways. When someone says that they saw something walking toward them, it's the same thing with a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Like, when someone says that they saw an 8, 9, 10 foot, sometimes 11 foot Sasquatch in the forest walking toward them or walking away from them, it's like, is that really just your mind playing tricks on you? I mean, this is a very, very definitive thing, and I always wanted to know, what are people genuinely encountering? First, I should say, I don't really know much about ley lines. I don't even really remember his explanation on what a ley line was. But I do remember very clearly that he said kind of, a portal opened from the dimension, from another dimension, and this being came out. And, once again, is this just some guy who is, the only explanation that I would think as a skeptic is, this guy probably saw something that he couldn't account for, like, maybe a shape, some sort of shape, and he heard some noises, and maybe he sort of kind of elaborated on it in his own exaggerating and hyperbolic storytelling manner. Did he just fabricate a lot of the details? I mean, once again, I get very, very, curious. I was about to say skeptical, but it's not skeptical. I get very curious when I hear a story like this. It's like you're telling me that you saw the portal open and you saw this being walk out that did not have humanly features, that could walk upright, something that looked like an alien. He called it an interdimensional being, though. But like, what could that be? I'm still not even sure to this day. I can't think of any animal that would be mistaken for that. I mean, I can't think of any sort of shadow or, maybe he just saw something very quickly, and then maybe he saw some sort of, something in the forest very quickly, and then he turned and ran, and then he was just insisting that shape that he saw was this interdimensional being. But if that's the case, how did he see the portal open? I mean, what on earth could that be? Well, thank you for listening to this little segment of Occult Mondays. What do you think about the two stories that I put forward? Do you think that there is any truth to any of these? The first one, our case of demonic activity. Do you think that do you think that demons exist? One of the things I should add to that, when I was younger, maybe about 7 years old, I just, said out loud once, for no real particular reason, if anything exists that's paranormal, it's demons. And yeah, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember my exact words, but I really just maybe kind of thought to myself, and I was talking to myself, and I decided that if there's anything real out there, it's demons. And I'm like, I don't even know why I said that. I don't even know why I said that. I guess I was just thinking about the different supernatural, paranormal things. I like to avoid the word supernatural, excuse me for using it. Paranormal things and occult things. And I thought that if any of these are real, it is the demons. And, the person that I was talking to 10 years ago about this was saying that was your child instinct that was right, because children are very perceptive to nature, children are very perceptive to reality, and, it's like before we get, all these sort of, filters put in our brains, that's what she described as, it's like those were your natural instincts telling you that demons are real. But, at the same time, I'm still a little bit skeptical about that, but I would say that happened once. I just kind of said to myself, if anything's real in this, paranormal world, it is demons. So what do you think about the demonic story that I put forward? Can you think of a more plausible, rational explanation? And furthermore, what do you think about the interdimensional being story, where some guy's walking alone in the forest, and then he saw this portal open, and that an interdimensional being walked out, and he was able to see very definitive features that were not human, and it was walking toward him, and he took off running. What could that be? If you have anything to say at all, please drop a comment below, and thank you so much for listening. Happy Halloween. Happy October.